Alright guys, I know I've been spamming with the gameplay videos, but now I'm going to talk about something I'm sure most of you have either been through or will go through in the future, and that is working. It blows, like really hard, like it's actually really terrible, and even worse than school. I mean, I'd low-key rather go to work than school, because you get paid, but if you got paid to go to school, or if you had to work for free, then yeah, I choose the other one, because having a job is abysmal. And even though having a job is bad enough on its own, it's already a separate GI for me to just get a job in the first place. I remember when I was like 12, all I could think about was how I could get some funds, so I could cop some games or something. But unfortunately, that period between when you're like 10 and 16 is the lamest age range, because you're too old to get a bunch of candy and play games in school, but you're too young to drive or make real nigga moves, so it's a limbo of ass. I mean, despite that, one of the best years of my life was when I was 13, but we'll get to that in a future video maybe. Anyways, a 12-year-old, me and my nigga that lived next door go on quest to get some funds. So our first plan was to travel through the neighborhood looking for leaves to rake, but all the niggas said they had that covered, so it was grave. I mean, we did find one guy to rake leaves for, but it took like 7 years and 300 bucks to get his stuff in order, and we only had like $10 each. Like, what the hell? So since that endeavor proved too dead to continue, we chose to look for other means of getting money. Then I guess we decided to walk dogs or something, so we went door to door asking the guys what the move was, and someone let us walk their dog for the low, so it was lit. But we were off one, so the dog escaped or something and ended up in the sewers. We Negroes dad had spent hours looking for a dog with no pay. We were even about to call 12, but then something happened I guess, and the dog was retrieved. I forget the details though cause it was like a million years ago, but for some reason the owner wasn't pissed at us and let us live the rest of our days in freedom. Also, I don't think he paid us, so overall it was a waste of time. With those L's out of the way, I realized that I would have to wait years before I was able to make some funds. In the meantime, I was doing online surveys, but those were asked too. Each survey I was eligible for only came like once a week, and it was only worth like $1, so I didn't even make 100 till like a year, so that was dead. So the very day I turned 16, I spent the whole morning filing out applications to different jobs and stuff, and it was chill. I mean, not really, cause the applications were long as hell. Like, they'd be asking too many questions like they're the police or something. Then they'd be making you fill out these lame ass surveys like, what do you want from us? They said stuff at the beginning like answer honestly, but we would have to be drunk to do that. Why would we make ourselves look like anything but a model worker? All of that honesty stuff dead. But then like a month passed and none of the niggas hit me back up, so I felt some type of way. Eventually I found out that I actually had to call the Negroes back up and ask them to check out my application. So I did, and I went around and started getting different interviews. My first interview was at Dr. Chipotle's. It was dumb. The guy was asking questions and then was like, yeah, piss off, we don't want you here. And at first, I was almost in my feelings because I just wanted to get the job search nonsense out of the way. But then I realized if I actually worked there, then I would have to do the most. So I guess in the end of the day, it all worked out. Anyway, after some time, Little Caesars decided to give me an interview. And before I start this part of the video, let me just say that Little Caesars is diarrhea as garbage, and I hated them even before I started working at them for their trash ass pizzas. In fact, I feel some way about them so strongly, especially after working under such trash conditions, that my very first trash video was going to be called Little Caesars is Trash, and I made it all the way back last year. Unfortunately, right after I run and recorded it, the founder of Little Caesars passed away, and I don't know the guy, so I really don't have any problems with him. And I knew if I put out the video at that time, then all the niggas would look at me funny. So I decided not to make the video, but now I'm about to go over all the nonsense that went down while I was working there. So anyway, after the first unprofessional ass interview, the lame said they would call me up for a second one. Of course, since competency is difficult for scrubs, I'm the one who ended up having to call them back, and then we scheduled the next interview, and it was just about how to use a computer system or something, I don't know. But eventually I got the job, and I had to get all the government stuff in order, so that was lame. But also they made me wear a uniform and some ugly ass hats. I mean, I already can't dress for a crap, so it's whatever. Anyway, on my first day I was put in the back like the Negro I am, and was shown how to put pizzas in a box by some hoe. She was annoying. Like, she was one of those talkative hoes that was friends with everyone, but these niggas weren't funny, so I can't laugh at their lame ass jokes. Then these niggas got the nerve to feel some way about me, cause I ain't like their lame humor. It was grave. Anyway, putting pizzas in boxes was an L in itself. It gets tiring after some time, and the stuff they put the pizzas in is hot as hell, and I regularly burned myself. But the worst part of it all was the heat. Look, I know I say in the heat like bacteria, but it was really a desert out there working in front of an oven. I might as well have been seeing mirages. Like, it felt like they put me in the oven itself, and then they would make us stay there for hours, cause when I worked it was usually busy as hell. Also next to the pizza was the place we made the wings right behind the cashier. One time a bunch of niggas from school ran up on me while I was working, and it was one of the deadest experiences I've ever had working. When I wasn't working in the blazing sun, I was able to work in the colder part where they make all the dough and stuff. It was way chiller and much less annoying, but I actually had to think and measure stuff, so it was dead too. Also, I had to work with machines that I barely knew how to work, so it was a trash experience overall. Also, sometimes they made me clean the toilets and the floors or something, but it only happened like a few times, so I'm not tripping over it. The worst part about work is that all the niggas decided to conveniently make moves while I was doing slave work, like the Negroes they are. Like, seriously, I would get texts all the time saying, oh, come to the park, the whole crew is here all the time when I was at work, but then all of a sudden on days I was free, my phone was dry as hell. It was lame. One thing about working at Little Caesars is that they let us eat some of the leftover pizzas that nobody claims sometimes. But usually all the assholes and bums I worked with would get finished eating them before I got a chance to take some. My coworkers were fake as hell. They all turned on me because the hoe that showed me how to do stuff felt some way about the fact that I thought she was lame. The only one that wasn't a waste of space was some guy that hated working there too. He went back to his old job pretty quick though, so I was left alone with the ops. These weebs would go in the back and talk shit about me while eating pizza, while I was actually putting that work in. One day when it was really busy, even the fake ass manager had to step in and help me put pizzas in the box, and despite seeing my hard work with his own eyes, he still told me over the phone that I had to piss off and stop working there. I got the news while I was walking back home from school. Also, I didn't have my key, so I was locked out of my own house for hours, so that was an L. But I was kinda conflicted about my fire rate. On one hand, I didn't really care because I hated working there anyway. I was looking for other jobs. But on the other hand, that was the only job I had, so I knew if I didn't get a job fast, then I would go back to being a broke boy. Also, the hoe from work went to my school, and as if that wasn't bad enough, she was also in my class, and as if that wasn't bad enough, she was also even at my table. But then she started talking slick, and some bum who knew she was an op tried to instigate something, so I had to piss off from that table. Anyway, eventually one of my niggas told me at the place that he works at, and how it's easy and lit, so I decided that was the next move. He worked at Party City, and it was after working here that I learned once and for all that niggas is just snakes no matter where they are. So I was able to get an interview at Party City, of course, because like who wouldn't want to hire me? And on my first day I went around and put stuff in the shelves where they're supposed to be or something. It was chill. But then they decided to put me in the back, which most people getting their feelings over, but being the antisocial nigga that I am, working in the back was like a way of life for me. I would wear some radio thing, and niggas would ask me to pull ugly ass outfits out of boxes and give it to them on the outside. So it was easy enough. Also, they knew how to turn on the AC, so it was definitely better than my time at Little Caesars. I mean, some things were still trash though. Like I had to get on a ladder for most of the costumes, and some of the boxes were in very trash conditions and in the cuts, so it would take an eon for me to find them. But still, it was like way better than burning myself and getting screwed over by my coworkers. Also, one time me and the nigga that told me about the job working in the back, and some big ass ladder almost fell on me and turned me into a pack before he warned me. I mean, it wasn't moving that fast, and I probably would have noticed even if he hadn't said anything. But yeah, I could have been on a shit if I didn't stop that nonsense from happening. But one thing that sucked was that I was often not really busy. And I know what you're thinking. Chief, how can not having work be a con, you runaway slave? Well, it was because I would sit on my ass on my phone for like an hour waiting for stuff to do. And not only would it drain my battery, but it would also make time go like way slower, which is dead as hell. I mean, towards the end of my stay was like the Halloween season, so more niggas started showing up, and it was really busy, so that problem was out of the way. Sometimes my bosses were off one, and decided to make me work on the outside and actually deal with customers or something. And these customers be dumbasses. Like they always asking questions and acting even more worthless than they would have in any other circumstance or place. I mean, there wasn't actually that many times where I had to deal with them, but still the few times I did were enough to make me know I could never be a full-on sales associate. But then I guess the niggas decided to switch up on me. One of the niggas I went to school with said the guys were talking mad shit about me amongst themselves, and I was like, whatever, bums will be bums. But then they really went too far. You see, I was working there my junior year of high school, so I decided I'll have to go to the final football game of the season, even though I don't care about the sports, but just to have a lit time. But sadly I was scheduled to work that day, and the bitch ass managers wouldn't let me work another day unless I had someone cover for me. And I already called out before, so I knew I couldn't get away with doing it again. So I decided to start contacting some people to cover my shift for me. So I did, and some fake ass hoe said she would cover me. And I even went to work that day to let my lame ass managers know who would be covering my shift, so they had no excuse for the wickedness they pulled later. Anyway, I went to the football game, and it was a waste of time because my school is trash, but you niggas already know that. But anyway, when I get back to work, all I see are the managers looking and talking to me different, and I'm like, what the hell? It turned out that the hoe that said she'd cover for me decided that commitments were fictional, and basically all the bosses blamed it on me. So after a long day at work, this one fake ass manager in particular said I was gonna make it out of the trial run and be a permanent employee, but because some thought didn't show up like she was supposed to, I had to piss off. So of course I was in my feelings when I went home. But then next thing I hear, the manager told all the workers that I was sobbing or something, and at that point I really wanted to empty a clip. Not only did they do me dirty by taking some hoe's word over my actions in Little Caesars, but they also did me dirty by lying on my name in Party City. And now I really feel some type of way about both of those businesses, because who knows what evil is done in their other locations. Anyway, after all that backstabbing, I decided I wasn't gonna work for a minute, because I was tired of the nonsense. But then I said never mind after like a month or two, and started the familiar process of applying to jobs and being told to piss off by hiring managers. But then I got a call back from Foot Locker for an interview, so I knew it could finally be lit. But the thing is, unlike all my other interviews, this was like a group thing, so I had to sit in a circle with like 20 other Negroes, and we each had to show the manager why we were worth the time of day. Even though everywhere else I'm a shy pussy that generally avoids communication, I decided that I couldn't fly there, and I was one of the first Negroes to start answering questions, and basically act like I could actually talk to niggas. So I got the fateful call back the next week, that I had been hired, and of course it was a cause for celebration. When niggas from school found out they could get a deal for the low from me, all of a sudden these fake ass niggas went out like my buddy, saying what's up with the discount? Like bitch, you ain't getting anything. Where your ass was at, dog, when niggas wouldn't feed me. But anyway, when I started working there, I had to go through orientation. And I quickly realized I want to be able to actually talk to niggas and get them to buy shoes. Because like I said, customers are trash. But luckily for once, the managers at Foot Locker were actually real as hell. And they let me switch over to being a stock associate before I even started working. So that was chill. The first day I worked for like 8 hours or something, which is the longest shift than I ever had before. Yet somehow it didn't feel that long because I always had stuff to do. What I did was I would arrange boxes where they're supposed to go by number and get boxes of shoes for the sales associates. So basically the same thing I was doing in Party City, except without the fake niggas. But still, after some time I just didn't feel like working anymore. First off, I didn't know any of the niggas there. I mean, there was one nigga that I went to school with that worked with me for like a week, but one of my other niggas told me he was talking shit, so until further notice he's a nobody. But also I was in my feelings because I was surrounded by all these clean ass shoes, while my broke ass was stuck wearing beat up Vans, so I looked completely out of place. And before you ask why I don't cop some shoes then with my dumb ass, well that's cause my parents would only let me work at most 20 hours a week, and between paying for gas and food and other nonsense, I didn't have the funds to cop any shoes that could actually make my life turn around. And also I wanted to make videos for you niggas, so I decided to work for a couple more weeks before I put in my resignation. And of course, since the niggas who work there are actually real, they acknowledged that I was putting in work when I was there, and they told me I was a good ass employee. So for all you guys in the comments talking about, oh, you weren't fired because everyone was fake, you were fired because you can't work to save your life, well the niggas at Foot Locker will beg to differ. But yeah, that's pretty much the extent of my experiences working. Hopefully any potential future boss I have doesn't fuck me over like they did in Little Caesars or Party City, and it's actually real like the one in Foot Locker. But yeah, having a job is garbage water. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.